Hello everyone. Kind of think of this as a maybe a part 2 of my first video, as there was a couple things I missed, and hopefully with this one it'll be much shorter, and I'll be able to gain your attention and keep it. Because understandably, those who may have watched my previous video, yeah, it was a long one, and understandably those who chose not to watch it because of its length, I understand it was an hour long, but I tried. Anyhow, for those of you that couldn't bear to watch the first one because it was very long to review, it's pretty much about, I explained what Tourettes is and my life with it, what my life was like with it. Anyways, to go back over that, well, how Tourette's got its name is from Dr. Georges Tourette. He was back in the late 1800s, and he first diagnosed Tourette's in it was a French noblewoman at the age of 86. The woman was 86 years old. So Tourette's has been around for a long time. Tourette's syndrome. Now, what is Tourette's? Well, Tourette's, describe it, it's a neurological disorder. What it is, it causes involuntary movements, like your shoulder shrugs. It could be anything. Twitches, facial twitches, like eye blinks, could be anything. A very small percentage of people who have Tourette's have verbal Tourette's. That's whether it's you're constantly swearing, or just you're saying random things, or you're making random sounds, like kind of deal. Voluntary movements, well, let's say it could be shoulder shrugs. It could be like your head kind of twitching, so to speak. There's lots of different things that it makes. No, what causes it? No one. There's no known reason for it to happen. It's something up here isn't quite right, and it just makes everything. It causes your body to do different things, and you're not in control. I mean, you can. Some of us, if a tic is strong enough, then it is. You can suppress it. I know with me, when I have tics, that they're constant enough, I can hold it, but it's not easy. And you kind of feel the sensations where the tic is about to come out, and you can hold it, especially if it's constant. But other than that, it feels a lot better to get it out. Now, with me, like I mentioned before, well, I did this part I didn't mention before, but I have mild Tourette's. When I was first diagnosed in grade 2, so I was 5-6 years old, something like that. I was diagnosed with learning disorder, which maybe caused me to be held back. But with Tourette's, if it started off as facial tics, I would grunt a lot, and then from there it kind of seemed to get smaller and less noticeable, and almost to the point where it was gone, but then it picked back up again. As I got older, it more or less stayed the same. I had the odd facial tic, I had like a twitch or a blink, or might kind of grunt a little bit at times. But other than that, there was nothing until it got a little stronger in high school. But as far as having tic attacks, that didn't start until my great grandmother's funeral. And that's when I started kind of categorizing my tic attacks, because it seemed every funeral I went to for a loved one, because it'd be a full body attack where it'd start on my leg, I'd start kind of tap my leg, and then I would be like doing a shoulder shrug, and each time it was pretty much the same thing. It would start on my leg, I'd do it like a tap, and it'd just be everywhere. And depending on how upset my body was, how much I was mourning the loss, it could get pretty big. The worst one that I had, like I mentioned before, was at my wife's grandmother's funeral, and that was the worst it's ever been. It was like the equivalent of someone having a seizure. It was like everywhere, and I couldn't hold it anymore. And I could hold it, but like many out there will agree, to suppress a tic, it gets exhausting. Feels so much better to let it out, because you got this thing building up inside you, like it wants to get out, and it feels so much better to get out, because a lot of times you can be holding it and it does not feel good at all. It gets very exhausting. But for me, the biggest trigger is what I call extreme emotional state, like I'm mourning a loss. Stress can trigger it. Fatigue triggers attacks, but they're not very big. They can be, but even fatigue and stress together can create big ones, but the emotions triggers the worst of them. That is full body, and that's at its absolute state. It's strong, and it can last hours. Like it could last a long time. It takes a while to calm down. Another one was sometimes being in a crowd for some reason. Like, well, sometimes when I go out in the crowd while I'm going shopping or whatever, I'll start twitching, or my face will start ticking away. But not all the time. Sometimes I sit. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. One thing I forgot to mention, tension, I think, is one that I forgot to mention. Being in a tense environment. Meaning, like, if there's someone if someone that I know is having an argument, and if the closer in distance I am to them, like, if I'm 3 feet away, 10 feet away, the closer I am in that environment, I can really feel the tension, and I start to feel the sensation building up. I start to twitch a little bit. Like, I can even be 50 feet away and still be an earshot of an argument that there's a tense argument going on. I'll start to kind of take away. Well, tension, being in a tense environment, being around tension will trigger a small attack. Now, for me, it's more, like I say, it's more in the shoulders, and thing is, it's something I've learned to deal with. I mean, something you're born with, and you have it till you die, and it's not something that is fatal. But another thing I forgot to mention in my previous video was the fact that of all people that have it, I mean, I guess most people, they're diagnosed when they're a kid. It's estimated that 1% of, like, in every school in the world, I think, 1% of kids in each school has Tourette's. That's a very small percentage. It's not as rare as it used to be, because when I was in second grade, that was mid-80s? Because I was born 1981, and I was diagnosed in the mid to late 80s. It was late 80s. At that time, there wasn't a lot known about it, and there's still not a lot known about it. And I mean, personally, there's one thing I gotta say, and when people hear Tourette's, they think the verbal Tourette's. Because it's in the media, it's in movies. Every time someone talks about Tourette's, they think you probably think it's the swearing one. We were constantly using swear words. You're just blurting out random things. Of all the people in this world that have Tourette's, it's actually only 10 to 15% of people that have that. No, that's not to say they're not important, because in my opinion, the ones that have the verbal Tourette's, my hat is off to you guys. You guys, you're amazing, because I mean, when I go out and I have the shoulder shrugs and twitching and all that, yeah, I might get a little unwanted attention. People might be looking at me like, what's going on there? But those of you that have the verbal Tourette's, you guys got the hardest. Because when you're out in public and you have no control. At least I have some control over how much I let out. I mean, unless you found a way to, like, other than holding your mouth or putting a mask over your mouth, how do you suppress that? I don't think you can. You just be walking down the street and just blurt out anything without being able to stop it. Not that you have to, just to who you are, but that's the thing. I mean, those of us that have the motor tics, at some point, some of us can suppress it. It's not easy. It is tiring. It feels better to let it out, but how do you suppress verbal tics? I don't think you can. Because even with body tics, most of them, they're unpredictable. You feel the sensation, you just don't know when it's going to come out. And it just, boom, by surprise, unless it's constant, and then you just do your best to hold it in. But those of you that have the verbal ones, like I said, my hat is off to you guys. I don't know, I mean, if you're able to suppress that, I don't know how you managed to do it, but you guys, my opinion, you guys got the hardest. Because that is out there. You can't hide, I don't know if you can hide that. And, I mean, walking down the street and you're just saying, like, F off, or no one loves you, well, someone thinks you're crazy, and you're not. That is, for me, to have verbal Tourettes, as small of a percentage of out there that, as small of a percentage of you out there that have verbal Tourettes, to me, you guys got the hardest. But you also have humor with it. That's important. You gotta have humor with it. You gotta have humor with anything. You can't be down about it all the time. But, yeah, I mean, for me, I've had it hard. I mean, growing up, I've been bullied about it. But, I dealt with it the best way I could. I didn't let it bother me. It can be hard, and even nowadays, but the thing is too, with my, it's kind of one of those things where, up until recently, having Tourette's, I'd always worry, is it going to come out, how bad is it going to come out? But it's gone to the point where, if it comes out, I'm going to let it out. Like, I will hold a certain amount in, but if I have a tic attack, it just feels so much better to get it out, because I feel it building up, and just like a sneeze that you just want to let out, it feels so much better when it comes out. And what's the thing too, it's unpredictable. I mean, in most cases, I know when it's going to be bad. I know it's going to be not so bad. That's why I just let it go. It's not something that runs my life. Even in the worst tic attack I've had to date, which was last year, I was still able to function. So, can it get worse? Maybe. But I'm prepared for it. Now, I'm not going to say this every time I do another video, like, so to speak, introduce the next video, but I mean, I don't know how often I'll be doing. I'm gonna do as many videos as I can. How often I do them, I don't know, because I live a very busy life. The weekends is the only time I have to do things. But I mean, going forward, I may try and get footage of a tic attack. I don't know, just to show you what it looks like for those of you that don't know. Because I know recently, usually when I go out, I'm in a crowd. Like, for instance, I went to, well, for those who are familiar with it, I went to the Festival de Voyageur. Those who are familiar, it's a festival we have in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. It celebrates, it's like a festival for Métis, and I can't really explain it, but it's a Métis and French kind of thing. It lasts about 2 weeks. It's a history thing. When I was there, we went out there, and like, it's outdoors, and we were starting to have lunch, and I was starting to tic a bit, and a lot of times my tic attacks are very visible. If I can get footage of it, and like, I'm not certainly going to go out of my way, and I mean, there's if it doesn't happen until I'm at a funeral, I'm not filming at a funeral. That's ridiculous. But if I'm out shopping or something like that and I happen to be able to get footage of it, I will try, just so for you that don't know what a tic tac looks like. Because I mean, they're all different. Everyone has them differently, different severities. But anyhow, there's another video, or my next video in general. It's another topic that is very close to me, and is bullying. Because in some ways, I think my experience with Tourette's, bullying was involved. May have been. And growing up wasn't easy. And I'll explain that in that video. And for those of you that do get bullied, I have a message for you. I'm not going to say it right now because, well, I don't want this video to be very long. My first video is a lot of you that did stick around for was an hour long, and understandably a lot of people didn't want to stick around for that. Understandable. So I'm going to try and keep this one short, and all videos like this, keep them short and get your interest and keep your interest. That's my goal. Rather than to educate and such like that. Like, I want to keep your interest. And but yeah, I have a very important message for those who are getting bullied, because I've been there. My childhood was hell. And my next video, which I'm hoping to record soon, because I want to get it out there, please listen to it. And I mean, it could help. It very well could help you. For those of you who have had a hard time, like, you know, whether you're a young kid or a teenager or what have you, you're gonna want to listen to it. I mean, I'm not gonna be harsh. I mean, I'll be maybe a little brutally honest, but I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I mean, I'm not saying that you're being bullied is your own doing, it's your own fault, because most of the time it's not. And I'll explain that, what I mean by that. Because some of the bullying I got, I brought on myself. I will admit that I know I did. I did stupid things. But it doesn't excuse it. But anyhow, I said, next video I make, it's going to be about bullying. And it's going to be a message to those that, I mean, it may be kind of be a message to those who are doing the bullying, because here's another video I'm going to make about that. But on the most part, my next video will be about those who are being picked on. I have something that that I would like you to listen to, for those of you who are going through that. And hopefully, what I have to say, it'll help you. That's what I'm hoping. That's my goal. And I'm not looking to change the world, but if I can help one person, that's a plus. Anyhow, before this gets to be a little more long-winded, hope you'll stick around and stay tuned for my next one. I'll try not to wait too long, but anyhow, have a good day. Thank you.